once again Mona Lisa, and again I'll be your host for the evening. You're welcome to 2025 game plan. This is our end of year program we put together by MMBA7, where we essentially want to equip you with the tools that you need to make this next year your very best year. And I know that it has been a great program so far. From our day one up until now, we had Sokariba on day one talking about how to take your startup ideas and turn them into a reality. We had Jago Emmanuel on day two talking about investment opportunities, and he's our in-house money consultant. So I hope you took some notes. And day three, we had two sessions. Actually, we had Niranthi Nanayakara, we had Zainab Ismaila, and Nini, our in-house intelligent babe, talked about how to explore opportunities, global opportunities in career and education. And Zainab talked to us about health and wellness. She's our in-house physiotherapist. And as we're going into the new year, I know that we're all excited about our goals and how we're going to buy veins and how we're going to do all these things. But listen, health is wealth, okay? And so I hope we took yesterday's session very seriously. And today is special, because it is our Oga, do you understand? As it is our in-house real estate magnate, who also happens to be our president. He's our governor. Today we're listening to the wise words of Dr. Wole Fapohunda, who is just a real estate champion, and he'll be teaching us how we can use real estate as a wealth building tool. And listen to me, all right? In this T-Pain regime, as it were, you need as many streams of income as possible. And real estate is something that has lasted through the years. It is tried, it is tested, and many of us are usually very confused about how to start. Do I need to be a billionaire first? Many of those questions will be answered today. And so I'm excited. I hope you are. Take out your pens, get a glass of water. Don't go anywhere, because after today, you're literally going to have all the tools you need to be a real estate millionaire. All right, Dr. Wole, the floor is yours, sir. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That was amazing. And your fluency needs to be studied. Thank you so much. We've had an amazing time from the beginning of this session up until now, and I look forward to having an awesome experience with everyone here today. Forgive me, I'm having this training from my car, because I just came back into Lagos today, and I thought I could make it to my house before this time, but you know what Lagos traffic can do to your plans. So I had to park somewhere and then join the class from here. But I assure you that you're still going to get the best energy, and you're still going to get the best information that I have prepared for you. Usually, I'm not a slide guy, but I'm going to be sharing my slide. I'm going to be sharing my slide right about now. And then we can go right into it, right? Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, amazing. So the 2025 game plan, real estate as a wealth building tool. When I saw this topic and I was asked to talk about it, I started thinking about it, that really there's a difference between people who are rich and people who are wealthy. And if you look at every definition that we have about these things, the only common factor is that wealth is long term. And some people even say transgenerational wealth. It means that wealth that goes from one generation to another. We have transgenerational knowledge. If you look at the African history, when they used to have griots, where they used to pass knowledge from one person to another, or from one family to another, right? But when we talk about transgenerational wealth, it is wealth that you can pass down. All right. And when you look at different metrics and different investment portfolio, all of them are good. I mean, on day two, we had Jago Emmanuel, and it was an amazing session, absolutely amazing session. And he showed us the different parts of our investment portfolio and what it should look like, right? Honestly, there are some of them I didn't have before then, but I'm already looking at, exploring them. And you can't blame me. I'm a real estate guy, and I always want to put all my money in real estate, all right? So, sorry, excuse me, my system is ringing. All right. So I was going to put all my money in real estate. So today we're going to be going through the basics of real estate. If you want to make real estate investment decision, we'll be going through what you should look like, what you should be aware of, And then I believe that I mean, real estate is also not something we can discuss in an hour or two, right? Because real estate is bigger than you and I. But I have been able to put together a few words, a few slides to be able to explain and give you absolute information. I feel like I'm talking to myself, right? But you can drop some charts in the comment section so I can know that I'm with you guys. All right, so the first thing on my slide is the outline. All right, so what is real estate? We're going to be talking about what real estate is. We're going to be talking about what real estate is not. We're going to be exploring the world of real estate. And then we're going to be talking about the types of real estate. You know, we're going to be talking about the types of real estate. There are different types of real estate, and then we're going to be categorizing them into a few, right? And then we're going to be talking about managing risks involved in real estate investment. I know that many people have said that, oh, real estate investment is safe and is secure and all of that and all of that. I assure you that real estate investment is safe and secure. Trust me. Oh, great, great. I'm seeing your comment. Let me put this on one part of the screen so I can see the chat. All right. So I assure you that real estate is safe and that real estate is secure, right? But then we're going to be looking at the risks involved. Then we're going to be talking about the factors to consider before making an investment decision. Because when we talk about real estate investment, that is you putting an investment in a solid asset, a physical asset that you can see, right? And sometimes as well, people do not understand the importance of real estate investments because they don't even have an holistic view of what real estate is about. All right. So today we're going to be talking about all of that. And shout out to all our sponsors or the class brands, NigerianMade.com, Me Branding You, Avimeta, 730, Flag Scale, Public Relations, Flag Scale Public Relations, Power Remit, and Asian. All right. So that is that about that. Then about me, my name is Wole Fapohunda. That's the name of the person, but Wole Fapohunda is the name of the brand, the personal brand. I'm founder and CEO of 730 Real Estate Limited and 730 Farms. We have business operations in Lagos, Abeokuta, Ibadan, and Uyo, that's Akwa Ibom State. I've authored a book in sales and marketing called Where Are My Customers? If you own a business and you're looking for customers, or you're always looking for customers, you should ask yourself where you kept the old ones, right? You should get my book, all right? Then I hold an honorary degree in real estate management from the Chartered Institute of Public Relations in Ghana. And I'm a one-time TEDx speaker and a nominee for the Future Awards Africa 2024 for the entrepreneurship category. And I'm a graduate of International School of Estates. So I'm saying all of this so you understand the authority of the person speaking to you about real estate. And anything I tell you, you can fact check them. And yeah, I believe that we learn a lot. Then I recently graduated from the Owners Managers Program from the Lagos Business School. And I'm currently an MBA student of Lagos Business School. And shout out to MMBA7 for putting this together. All right. That picture of me is me saying, you are the next landlord. All right. Are you with me? I'm not seeing this chart. It's not popping up. Are you with me? You are with me. Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Keep them coming. All right. So what is real estate? So don't look at my screen, just look at me. All right. So let me ask you a question. You know, we've heard about or how many of you are familiarized with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? I'm talking about the shelter, food, and clothing. So let me go to the comment section. Shelter, food, and clothing. Which one do you think is most important? Shelter, food, and clothing. Which one do you think is most important? We have some foodies in the house. Shelter, food, and clothing. Which one do you think is most important? All are important. Yeah, all are important, but which one is most important? Clothing, all are important. Food, food is winning. Clothing, food, shelter. Yeah, okay. Food, shelter. All right. All right, I love to take my definition from here first, right? Before I then dive into it. Mohammed said food. You can tell that food is very important, all right? So, all of it are important. And according to Abraham Maslow, They are the basic need of man, for man to have security, for man to grow, and for man to be able to have a sense of belonging. All right. But when we look at the level of importance, we look at which one can be a variable, an independent variable, and which one can be a dependent variable. All right. Don't let me take you guys into data analytics, but let me just break it down. Now, when we talk about food, food is very important for the survival of man. But you can choose when to eat and when not to eat. Occasionally, you can choose when to eat and when not to eat. You can choose what food to eat and what food not to eat. Right? Just follow me, all right? Then when it comes to clothing, you can choose when to wear clothes and when not to wear clothes. There are circumstances where you cannot wear clothes. You don't wear clothes to the bathroom, right? Some people don't wear clothes to bed. So you can, it is dependent on something. You can choose to do it or you can choose not to do it. But when it comes to shelter, now, when we come to shelter, we are not just talking about a roof over your head. When it comes to shelter, we are basically talking about real estate. All right. Now, when it comes to real estate, you may not be able to choose when to relate with real estate or not. I'll explain. You may not be able to choose when to relate with real estate or not because everything around you is real estate. Because everything around you is real estate. Right? Let me give you an example. I couldn't get to my house to have this call, but I can assure you that every one of you listening to me on this call, you are listening to me from a piece of real estate. Now, you may not be eating at the moment. Well, I want to say some people may not be wearing clothes, but you may not be eating at the moment. You may choose not to wear your clothes as long as your videos are not on, but you cannot choose to be out of real estate. All right. You cannot choose to be out of real estate. And that is why real estate is one of the most important need of man. Right. And coming to think of it, yeah, I mean, I remember I gave this example in a class, and somebody says, "Oh, some people are always flying. They are always talk about pilots. They only land the plane, then they take the next flight. They take the next flight. Those kind of people don't really relate to real estate." And then I asked a simple question. I said, "When you're on a flight and it arrives at its destination, what does it do? Can somebody comment what it does in the chat box? What does it do when it gets to its destination?" When you're on a flight and it gets to its destination, what does it do? What does it do? What does it do? It lands. It lands. It lands. It lands, right? Now, that takes me into the definition of real estate. All right? That takes me into the definition of real estate. What is real estate? Really? Real estate is land. Let us sing. Real estate is land. Real estate is land. Real estate is land. Real estate is land. Anything attached to it, anything under it, whether natural or man-made, it is all that is above and beneath the soil. You see that it is difficult to separate many other things from land because real estate is land. When you buy a house of 5 billion, the land is most likely 4 billion, and the construction on it is the 1 billion. Because real estate essentially is land. There's an architectural proverb that says if you want to build a castle in the air, the foundation has to be on land. If you want to build a castle in the air, the substructure has to be on land. So real estate essentially is land. Anything you attach to it or anything that is underneath, right? There are a lot of technicalities to explaining that, but just get it as it is, that real estate is land. Anything attached to it and anything underneath. Land is too important to be overlooked because people are always going to need places. The person you are paying rent today, you are paying rent to someone today because somebody bought that land many years ago. It could be 20 years ago. It could be 30 years ago. There's a landlord somewhere that you're paying rent to. All right. It is the oldest form of investment because it has existed before man and it will outlive man. Real estate is the oldest form of investment. In the Bible days, when God wants to bless a man, he blesses him with land. He blesses him with land. So real estate is one of the oldest form of investment. And let's do a quick math, right? The law of demand says the higher the demand, the higher the price. Then the lesser the supply, the I'm trying to remember that law. Who can remind me? Right? Now, this is what I'm driving at. I'm driving at the fact that since man was created, for those that believe in the Bible story of creation, it says that God created Adam and Eve, right? And then from them, there were other children, all right? Now, God created two people. And since that time till now, the total land on earth has been about 29%. Right? Remember, I said you can fact check me, right? The total land on earth is about 29%. Every other part of earth is occupied with water, rocks, air, and the likes, right? So the total land is 29%. And there were only two people on earth. What's the population of the earth today? We're about 8 billion. It means that supply is static, but demand increases. Now, in economics, when supply is static and demand increases, what happens? It goes up. So it means that you need to be able to also predict where people are going, get there before them, buy land, and be their landlord. I was having a conversation with my one-time landlord at the time, and he bought the house for 13 million naira in 2001. Now, in 2001, that house, 30 million naira was not cheap. 30 million naira was not small money. All right. But right now, they are negotiating that house for hundreds of millions after he has been collecting rent every year. After he has been collecting rent every year. So when it comes to real estate, you understand that people are always going to need places. Places to work, places to do business, places to go to. People are always going to need places. And real estate is a business of places. Real estate investment is a business of places. How you identify the places to buy and how you identify the places to put your money. It's also not everywhere you can put your money. All right? But we'll get there in a moment. It's also not everywhere you can put your money, right? Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry. All right. So knowing real estate. Real estate investment is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not a get rich quick scheme. I mean, I was talking to a customer a while back, and she was like, I want 10 million right now. I want to put it in real estate. And next month, I want to sell the land and I'll flip it over and all. And I'm like, all right, calm down, calm down. All right. This is not crypto. You're not buying you're not buying USDT. All right. Calm down. All right. What is the purpose of you buying real estate? And his only purpose was to buy and flip it. And then we sat down and then we had a conversation. He had a change of mind at the end of the day. He bought the house, right? He bought the land, I mean. He bought the land and took a while before selling, right? Even when he wanted to sell, it was because he really needed money. Because when it comes to real estate, usually, if you are buying a good real estate, your only regret is always that you didn't buy more. By the time you begin to see the appreciation of your land. In this conversation tonight, I'm also going to be sharing with you the metrics of appreciation so that people don't just tell you that one land is XYZ price and then you just go for it, all right? So that you can value a real estate yourself and you can come to a conclusion that you're getting a deal for a good price, all right? So you do not buy or pursue investment in real estate to earn substantial return in a short term. No, you do not. It's not a short term, and like I said, it's not a get rich quick scheme. All right. I saw the house about 5 years ago in Abraham Adesoya, Aja, Lagos. I saw this two-bedroom apartment for 20 million naira, right? So the two-bedroom apartment for 20 million naira. The buyer was able to spread his payments for 18 months, right? So he paid on installment for a two-bedroom in Abraham Adesoya, Aja, right? At that time. And I remember how I had to convince him so much. And when he asked me, that what is the value proposition of this land, of this apartment, I told him that this is an apartment that you can own for the rest of the lifespan of your life, and not just your life, as long as it is in ownership, as long as your name is on the ownership document, you own the property, and then you can pass it over to your children, right? But that's not where the good news is. The good news is that when you buy this house, I like land too much. When you buy this house for 20 million naira and you're able to pay for 18 months, It's an off-plan project, and in real estate, an off-plan project is a project that is not ready. You finish paying, and then they give you a delivery date and all of that. Let us say we deliver to you in 24 months. That's in 2 years, right? I told him that in 2 years, you're going to get the keys to your house, right? And then you are fully paid your 20 million naira. And you start putting this house on shortlet. Now, this house is about 60 minutes drive from Lagos Business School. I ran the research on Lagos Business School at the time, and I realized that almost every other week, they have sorry, almost every other week they have lectures on campus. And I told him, I said, if you earn 20,000 naira per night on your shortlet in this location, let us assume that your shortlet is only booked for 20 days in a year, right? I'm not going to promise you 365 days. So it's booked for 20 days in a year, and then we calculated 20K by 200 days. I can't remember the math now. Let me check. We calculated 20,000 naira by 200 days, and that was 4
Wale, we
million
can't
naira.
hear you.
And I said, so let us assume. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear
can
me?
hear
Can you
now.
hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, okay. All right. So I said, we did the math, right? Let us assume that you are earning 20,000 naira from this house per day, and it's only occupied for 200 days in a year, not 365 days, right? And then we did the math. 20,000 for 200 days was 4 million. And I told him that let us assume that maintenance, you are putting somebody in charge and all of that, it takes 1 million naira, right, off your money. So in a year, you are getting 3 million naira in rental values of your house, right? In a few years, you're going to make back your capital, the money you used in buying that house in the first place. And by the time you value that property, your value of your property would have gone up. Now, this is 2024. He bought the house in 2019. Two-bedroom in Abraham Adesoya right now is selling for about 75 to 80 million naira. A house he bought for 20 million. And he has been collecting rent since 2021, right? So now, when we look at it and when we look back, he has gained rental values and he has also gotten capital appreciation. Because if he decides to sell today, he will be making multiple of the money he invested in the first place, right? Meanwhile, a smart investor is also not going to sell. He will keep holding on to it because dollar keeps going up and he can't predict what the price of the house will be tomorrow. So I said that to say that real estate investment is not an investment you make for the short term. It's not a get rich quick scheme, right? And it's not get rich quick scheme. So the number two thing is real estate is the long-term game. Your ability to hold off your property for a long period will guarantee your capital appreciation. Absolutely. And so let me chip this in here, right? There are three different kind of people when it comes to real estate investment, right? When it comes to people buying properties, we sell properties, we've understood that there are three types of people. Number one are those that are unaware. We have the unaware customers. The unaware customers are customers who do not understand the real estate market. They don't understand anything about real estate. So when you are telling them, but when you tell a customer that is unaware that you are buying 500 square meters, you are buying XYZ, they don't really understand it, right? I know there are some of you on this call, you've seen a lot of real estate posts, and you can't really decode what they are saying. You don't know what a 500 square meter is. And your only question is, which one is a plot? Each one is a plot of land, right? But then, technically, in real estate, any size of land can be a plot of land. Any size of land can be a plot of land. Let's hold that, right? Then, the standard plot of land varies by state. For example, in Lagos State, developers are permitted to sell 600 square meters as a standard plot, all right? And 300 square meters as the half plot of that. In a place like Kwara State, 450 square meters is the standard plot, right? In a place like Akwa Ibom, 500 square meters is the standard plot, right? So it is important that you understand the number of square meters that are being sold. And that is why when you want to buy real estate, I always recommend that you buy from professionals. You know, that would assume that you're an individual who wants to buy from Omonile, right? I was in Ibadan earlier today, and I actually had a meeting with Omonile, right? So let's assume you want to buy from an Omonile, make sure you engage professionals, engage surveyors, right? Engage lawyers who deal in properties. I have realized that there are a lot of customers who want to buy real estate, and they just say, I have a friend who is a lawyer. I want you to help me do this. It's not every lawyer that also understands property law, right? There are some people who do not understand property laws. When I'm talking to them, I just know this guy just wants to collect money, right? He doesn't understand property law, right? So you need to engage professionals. Very important, right? Because if you are buying a house for an investment and you are buying a house to build, there are different professionals you need to engage at every step of the way. All right. You need to engage a surveyor. You need to consult a town planner. All right. Or you need to go to the town planning office. You need to understand the density of that area. There are some areas that are low density areas. You cannot build a number of floors in that location. So there are a lot of technicalities when it comes to buying real estate that you as an unaware customer cannot just jump into it and say, it's like people are making money in this real estate, I want to do it as well, right? Most times when people do that, they get their hands burnt. And they get their hands burnt. And that is why many Nigerians fall for scams, right? Because many people are unaware customers. They don't understand this, but they see that people are doing it and then they want to jump into it. So I recommend that if you want to buy real estate, make sure you understand it. All right. So they are the unaware customers. You will identify yourself by the time I'm done. They are the unaware customers. They are the problem-aware customers. These problem-aware customers are the ones who are aware that as much as cash can be a form of investment, you should not keep a lot of cash than you can use. Right. One of the things I recommend is you save to invest. You save to invest. All right. So you save your money to invest. There are some companies who have been able to give a kind of flexible payment plan. So instead of saving cash, you are just paying on installment for your properties. All right. So now, there are problem-aware customers. They know that I don't want to keep this money in the bank. They know that I need to put this money somewhere, but they don't know where to put it. Many of them, I was once that guy. How many of you lost money in Forex? You know, gave Forex guys my money, expecting returns every month. And like Jago said, one of the ways you identify a scam is when they guarantee you returns by the end of every month. That's a scam. It can only work for a while because it is not sustainable. All right. So that was a problem-aware customer. You had 1 million, you had 2 million. You knew that you are not using this money. You don't want to keep it in the bank. You don't want to keep it as cash. It's different from your expense account. It's different from your emergency fund and all of that. And you want to put it somewhere, right? So you're just looking for where to put it. All right. So the unaware customers are not aware of real estate terminologies, of investment terminology, or whatever. They just jump into it. The problem-aware customers, they know it's a problem for them to keep their money. They know that they want to put their money somewhere. So one of the things they do is they just do surface due diligence. They ask a lot of questions. Some of them will act tough. All right. Meanwhile, they don't really know nothing. All right. And then some of these kind of people still fall for scams. All right. Then we have the third set of customers who are the solution aware customers. These guys know what they are looking for. Sometimes you become a solution aware customer when you've gotten your hand burnt a few times. Now you know the questions to ask. And I have a personal philosophy. I feel that for most people, the first few money they make, they blow it. Except you have some solid financial freedom upbringing, right? So like the first few money you make, you blow it. All right. Especially as a Gen Z or even a millennial. So I feel that they are the solution aware customers. They know what they are looking for. They ask questions. They want to know, for example, I don't invest in anything I don't understand. If I want to invest in something, I really, really need to understand this. So it is difficult for anybody to change my mind to invest in something. Because if you ask me to put 100 million somewhere, I'm valuing that 100 million if I put it in real estate, if I put it in land banking, all right? I'm thinking if I buy a land of 100 million in 5, 10 years, or in XYZ amount of months, or in XYZ amount of years, this is what it would have given me. So instead of me putting my money in your investment and you're guaranteeing me 20% in a year, good returns, right? But it doesn't work for me. So when you want to make an investment decision, you need to ask yourself, which of these three do you fall? The unaware, the problem aware, or the solution aware, regardless of the industry. But when it comes to real estate, identify where you are, ask questions that are very valid, and you will know some of the questions to ask before the end of this conversation. And you'll be able to take it from there. You'll be able to take it away. All right. So there is real estate is not a food commodity. Do not buy overpriced or underpriced real estate. All right, this is a little bit bulky, but I'll try to like break it down in a few words. Don't buy overpriced properties. I see a lot of overpriced properties in the market. All right. People do not understand the matrix with which property is valued, right? So Anybody just buys a land and they just put a price tag on it and they're selling. And you're wondering, how did you come to this price? What is your pricing metric? And how did you conclude at this price? So, two things, right, to judge any property value. All right. I'm not an estate valuer. There are those that are professionals in estate valuing. They will help you value your land or value your property and they will give you accurate predictions, but they may be expensive. All right. So, one of the things you want to do as somebody who probably doesn't want to engage a land surveyor who is a land valuer. Land surveyors who survey lands are different from land surveyors who value lands. All right. So one of the things you want to do is two things: documentation and development. Documentation and development. I can have a land inside bush, but that land has a C of O. A C of O is a high level of documentation, therefore, it's going to influence the price of the property. A CFO is a high level of documentation and it's going to influence. I am also going to talk briefly about documentation briefly. It's a little bit technical, but I'll talk about it. Um, okay, someone is saying 150K, 200K value fee. Fair enough. And I think it also depends on location. What kind of, if you are valuing a property in Lekki, they won't charge you to 200K, right? So yes, this is fair enough in my opinion. So documentation, very important. You want to see the documentation that justifies the price they are calling that property. All right. That's why you can see a land and they will tell you this land does not have any document. It doesn't have any title. The only document on it is a provisional survey. All right. So you want to understand what that means and how it affects the price. Then development. You want to see what is the development in this axis. Is there a road? Is there a tarred road? Is there government attention there? And a lot of things. There are a lot of these things in my slide as we move further. Are you with me? I'm beginning to feel like I'm talking to myself. Are we together? People of God, are we together? All right, great. Thank you very much, Joy Joseph. Thank you. All right, amazing. Now, other investments, there's this quote by me that says other investments exist because real estate permits them. Other investments exist because real estate permits them. Remember, I said earlier, I said real estate investment is the mother of all investment, right? Because no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're investing in, you are investing in, you are doing that from a real estate space. No matter where you are joining this call, joining this class, you are doing it from a piece of real estate. I'm having this class in my car, but my car is standing on a piece of real estate. All right. So whatever you're doing, in the air. I mean, remember when COVID happened, everything shut down. The only thing, I think that year I made my highest sales during COVID because people cannot lie to you and say they are driving. All right. Everybody's at home, right? So when the world shuts down, what happens is that everybody goes back home. Real estate is as valuable, right? So you cannot really overlook real estate. Everybody's going to need places. Even those who live under the bridge during COVID have to get a place because real estate is too important. Even the bridge that they live is still a real estate. All right. If you do not own real estate, you are helping someone pay for one. So this quote explains that now, no pressure if you don't own real estate yet. That's why we're having this conversation now for 2025. It's possible that the first real estate you buy is December 2025. It's all right. No pressure. No pressure, really. All right. But for every day that you don't own real estate, you're helping somebody pay for one. And let me explain. I did an experiment one time. My then girlfriend and I, we had a particular set of food in a particular restaurant at a particular place on the mainland, on the mainland of Lagos, right? The same food, and we paid about 16,000 naira, if I'm not wrong. And we came to the island in a particular restaurant. I had the same food, and we paid about 50 something thousand naira. What do you think is the difference? The difference is the real estate. What makes the major difference is the real estate. When you buy anything, you are helping that vendor pay rent. When you buy anything, you are helping that vendor pay rent. Rental values. So the reason why a store in Lekki will charge you higher than a store in Ketu is because of the real estate. You know, When I began to think of everything this way, that for everything that I buy, I pay for real estate. If you buy a car from a dealer in Lekki, it's not going to be the same price than the one you buy. Sorry, forgive me. Than the one you buy in Ayobo, because their rent is different. That guy is probably paying 500K for his space, and the guy in Lekki here is paying 50 million for his space. So it is definitely going to influence the price. So if you're not buying real estate, you're helping somebody pay for one. Everybody pays part of somebody's real estate. When it comes to pricing on the back end, every business, they factor their rent into their costs. All right? They factor their rent into their pricing. So you're helping people pay for real estate. You can as well have some real estate, even if it's not giving you rental values right now, but you can guarantee, or you can be guaranteed that you have capital appreciation in a number of years. There's one of my customers, she's 23 right now, and we've had about 10 projects, and she has bought 1,000 square meters in every project, because she says when the estates are functional in 10, 20 years' time, she wants to own a supermarket that will serve the estate in all the estates. What an amazing insight. I didn't see it that way. All right. And that was just right now she runs a mini restaurant. I mean, she runs a mini supermarket. And then that's our grand vision for our business. Buying lands in places that are cheap, places that are remote, so that when those places open up in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, she wants to be able to have a proper supermarket in those places. And now, by that time, when the real estate of that place is expensive, nobody would know that she bought it 10 years ago. All right. So if you don't own real estate, you're helping somebody pay for one. Wait a minute. All right. So what are the types of real estate? Well, we still have a long way to go. What are the types of real estate? Number one is land banking. Land banking is you buying, what do they do? What do you do in banking? You put your money in the bank, all right? But land banking is you put your money in land and you leave it for a period of time, right? You keep acquiring lands and you leave them for a period of time, and you resell. All right. There's this popular story about Femi Otedola. At some point, he had some economic downtime, and he was able to sell a couple of his real estate to bounce back. All right. Yes, buy and flip. Yes. So you can buy land, you can buy houses and flip, right? You can buy land and hold. Land banking is you buying land and you hold on to it, right? It is buying a place that people have not gotten to, or a place that people are going. All right. And then you own those places before they get there. You own those places before they get there. And by the time people are coming there to pay rent, you are the landlord. So let me give you guys one simple gimmick of real estate businesses, right? We don't just buy land anywhere. We also, because remember, before my customer invests in that land, I, the developer, have invested in the land. So I've invested XYZ amount in this land for my customers to come and pay me back. All right. So before I make the decision to invest in a place, I make sure that it is a place that will make money for me and also make money for my customers. All right. So this is one of the things that we do. When we buy lands, there's a policy in my company, for example. Every staff has a 50% discount to buy real estate, because I don't just want those guys to be selling land. I also want them to own the real estate. And trust me, there are some of them that own lands in every estate that we have. Right. So it means that beyond the fact that they are convincing customers to own this real estate, they also understand the value of it. So I encourage you, right? If you're here and you are planning to start from somewhere, remember, Jago said on day two, if you have 200K salary, it's not time to go and be buying real estate. Invest in yourself first. All right. You earn first, because you learn first, learn more to increase your earning power. And when you increase your earning capabilities, you can be able to invest in real estate without hurting yourself. Because there are some people, when they say, sir, this is the amount I have, I will ask, have you eaten? All right. Buy good suits first. Invest in yourself, depending on your business, anyways. I mean, you are doing a business where you have to look good. Invest in yourself so you can earn more money. All right. And then when you are ready for real estate, we're going to walk you down the road. So, land banking is an investment practice, acquiring land to hold for some time and then selling it at a profit. All right. It is a long-term investment. Land banking is a long-term investment. I've said no to a few customers' money because they want to do land banking, but they don't want to hold it for a while. All right. For example, my project, we have some projects that are dedicated to land banking. We let you know that this is a land banking option. So don't come to site and say, I cannot build here now. No, you can't build, sir. Ha. We are not one of those companies that will tell you our land is 5 minutes away from. Nah, you can never find any 730. You can never find any 730 material out there that says our land is 5 minutes from any refinery or something. Nah, you should not even buy a land close to a refinery. All right. But I believe that some people will ask these questions, right? So land banking is basically you buying a land, holding on to it, and reselling in future. Commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is properties that are used for business related activities. All right. So there are a lot of dimensions to commercial real estate. REITs also plays more in the commercial real estate market. So commercial real estate is your malls, hotels, um, supermarkets. Those are commercial real estate. They are real estate properties that are used for commercial purposes. People come in and out of it. Offices. There are some offices that are commercial properties, all right? And there are also some offices that people converted a residential property to a commercial property, all right? And there are also some places where are mixed use. I'll talk about that when we get to the use of land, all right? So there are places that are mixed use, and then there are places that are dedicated to commercial uses. A lot of places in VI are dedicated to commercial use. There are a few places in Lekki as well that are dedicated to commercial use. If you pass Admiralty Way, for example, you cannot see somebody's house beside the road because any land beside the road on Admiralty Way, by government policy, is a commercial property. All right. So anything you're going to see on that route is going to be a commercial property. So sometimes people invest in commercial properties, and it includes warehouses, it includes anything commercial, any real estate space where business is being conducted is a commercial property. All right. Then we have houses. This involves buying a chain of houses or apartments, putting them up for factories. Amazing. All right. All right. So we have houses. Houses is you buying houses. So there are two ways you can buy houses. You can buy houses to live in. It may not be an investment, but you can buy houses to rent. One of the things advise young people who can afford houses is buy houses in places where you can put for rent. And for example, you may not be able to afford a house in VI yet, but you can afford a house in Lakwe. Buy a few houses in Lakwe, right? Buy a few houses in Lakwe and let the rent there pay your rent in VI, right? You own multiple units in Lakwe already. Development will get there, and with time you're a landlord in that axis, right? So I always advocate that you live where you can live, even if you can't afford real estate there yet, and buy houses in places you can afford and get rental values from them. My time is running out. My slide is still a lot. So REITs, real estate investment trust, so basically real estate investment funds are people it's a kind of system where you don't have to like buy a land and own it. You don't have to buy a house and own it. All right. You can buy into units of housing, right? Sometimes they cut these things down in square meters. All right. So they say you can buy 1 square meter, 2 square meter, and then you earn returns from it. It's very common in the US and in the UK. In Nigeria, it's not exactly structured, but there are companies who also do that. There are companies who also do that, all right? So REIT is when you invest in properties that give you passive income for a period of time, right? And then there are companies who that is what they do, that is their expertise. They have everything needed to be able to conduct that kind of business, all right? So they invest in commercial properties, sometimes residential properties, chocolates, and the likes, and then they give their investors returns on investment, all right? So what are the risks involved in real estate? The potential property theft. All right. This is Omonile land grabbers. When you want to buy land, be conscious of these things. All right. Especially if you are not buying from a developer. If you are buying from an Omonile, some family they have issues. So if you want to buy land directly from family, be conscious of these things. There are some family members that are problematic. Usually they are. They are the Omoniles. We understand their language, both in pidgin, English, and in punches. Although, I mean, we don't fight, but we understand their language as it were. So, it is a very high risk, and that's where you hear people say they buy a property and then the money let's sold it to someone else. And trust me, sometimes both of you have documents that they've given you, and then you're fighting over it. So is a risk you should be aware of. Sometimes you can buy a wrong location. A wrong location most times is emotionally driven. Somebody who lives in Lagos or lives in Abuja, and you're supposed to buy a property in Abuja, you want to buy land in your village, right? Not because it's not a good thing, but that property may not be able to be of value to you. There are a lot of properties in the village that nobody lives there. That house is just empty until every Christmas. Christmas, they come to the house, they have Christmas, and they go again to the next Christmas. So you are not optimizing that real estate. It is assumed that you have bought a wrong location. Proper documentation is very important. You cannot overlook that. Documentation is even a different ball game. If I'm to start talking about documentation, I won't leave here today. All right, because documentation is the bedrock of any real estate investment. You can buy land and it's not yours until you do proper documentation, right? And like I said earlier, this is where you engage professionals. All right. Then government policies. You need to understand government policies. I just said something now that on Admiralty Way, I'm on Admiralty Way. So I just looked by my right and I saw. So on Admiralty Way, you cannot see a house by the road, right? Because the houses by the road, the lands by the road are commercial properties, right? In Ogun State right now, in Ijebu-Ode Expressway, 1.5 kilometers from the expressway cannot be sold, right, to an individual. So if you're not aware of these government policies, somebody can put a banner there and try to tell it to you, and you're going to pay for it, only for you to have court case in future with two cup of rice, or how do they say it? Then sometimes as well, you need to familiarize yourself with government policies around real estate investment, especially in those locations, right? It informs your real estate buying decision. Then on rightful transfer, there are some people that will put themselves together. They don't have power of attorney, they don't have the right to sell any land, and then they say that they want to sell land to you. And sometimes it sounds too much of that. And sometimes it sounds so beautiful that you already fall for them before you realize it. So one of the things we do street due diligence, right? Is that we verify that the family we are buying the land from is the actual owner, and they have the right to transfer that land. All right. Because sometimes when you throw that money away, is money gone. All right. Then slow development. There are some places who are predicted to have higher development rates than others, right? So if you want to make an investment decision, you want to just oppose the options you have, and you want to make a decision in a location that has fast development, depending on the objective of your investment, right? Some people will say, I want a bush, or I want bush, right? Some people will say, because I want to farm there before I'm able to use the land, that kind of thing. So you want to look at the development in that axis before you make an investment decision. My time is running. Factors to consider before making a real estate investment decision. Due diligence, very important. And like I said earlier, engage professionals, surveyors, lawyers, very important. Let them send you the report, read it, be informed. Don't let them just say, oh, the land is good and that's it. No. So documentation, genuineness of the land. I want to see, do street due diligence. It's one of the things that we do. There are some homoniles that are in quotes on our payroll. When you want to buy land in a location, they help us ask around. They help us do street due diligence. Have they sold this land before? Have they sold it to somebody? Is there an issue on the land and all of that? So due diligence is important. Then verify government acquisition status. So every land has an acquisition status. All right. So for example, there's government acquisition land. There are lands that are committed to government purposes. So there's something we call official charting. Usually, sometimes we send a copy to our customers when they want to buy land. We send them the official charting report of the land that states that this land is not under any known government acquisition. All right. So it states that it's not under any government acquisition. So by the master plan of that location, you can tell that no matter what will happen from government, that land is not going to be affected. All right. There are a lot of people who sell lands that are under government acquisition. And let me tell you the trick, because many times the Omoniles who own those lands, it is unfair to them that government puts an embargo on their land and say this. I wanted to buy a land about 4 years ago, and government has put on that land that they are going to build a Marco Polo office, project 2035. 2035 is a long time from here. But they already put it there that this project 2035. So nobody should touch it. It's a government acquisition property. All right. But the family is emotional about it. The land they inherited from their forefathers, they can't sell it because there's an embargo on it. If you go and larry more like this, bam, the money has gone. Location, development, very important as well. Neighborhood, government attention, accessibility. You want to look at the location. What's government attention here? What's government doing? Is there any thing that is coming to this area that will increase the price of land. All right, what's the neighborhood like? After COVID, people have realized that they want to live in estates, right? Because people who lived outside of estates were more exposed, right? But people who lived in estate, they still had a communal living kind of thing, you know. They still had like a community, even though there was COVID. All right. Then you want to verify land use. Land use is different from acquisition status. Land use, we have mixed use, we have forest use, that's agricultural use, we have commercial use, we have residential use. So according to a master plan, there are different colors that represent these things. So you want to recognize that this land I'm buying, one of the things that is very common in real estate industry, especially in this part of the country, is that many people sell forest land as residential land. Now, you're not going to understand it now until 10 years' time you want to build on that land and you realize that you actually bought an agricultural land, right? So you have to do a lot of ratification, a lot of documentation processes to change the status of that land into a residential property that you can actually live on, all right? So you need to understand the land use, right? Because usually the use and the usage are not always the same. People use the land for something that is against the use that the land was originally meant for by government. Then buying into the person before buying into your project. Usually, I always say you should trust your plug. Buy into the person before buying into the project, basically. Trust who you are buying from, trust your realtors. There are some realtors on the call, trust your realtors, trust your person. Make sure they earn your trust. Please don't give trust away because the money you are investing in real estate is not a money that you were dashed. You probably worked for it, which I'm certain that you worked for it. All right. So you worked for that money. And I believe that if you want to put your money somewhere, you do enough due diligence about the person. Because sometimes the land is genuine, everything checks out. But whoever you're dealing with is a scam in quotes, right? Or they are not just a trustworthy person, or they have a track record you can't rely on. All right. So you want to make your trust, your plug, your trust, and then you want to trust them. All right. Um, I'm coming to the end of it. Buy land because they are not making it anymore. Remember, I said the OF just has about 29% of land, and that's how it has been. Population keeps increasing, but the land size remains the same. So it means that land prices will always go up, right? And depending on the trajectory of people, as people are migrating to a particular place, land prices in that place continues to increase, right? I remember when I started selling Ekpe, I was part of those that sold Ekpe Lagos for 400K. I sold Ekpe for 400K. Right now, that 400K land, when I pass it, I just look at it and say, I sold this land for 400K. And the clients now can sell it for probably 10 million, right? Because it has become a major market in the real estate industry in Lagos. All right. Then don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and you wait. Conclusion, we're here. All right. Real estate investing is not ambiguous. You can understand it. All right. Just talk to a professional, please. Even with everything I've spoken about today, please make sure you talk to a professional. It's very important. And when I say professionals, I mean lawyers, surveyors, town planners, or just talk to a realtor or a real estate person who has all of these resources in their disposal, so they can explore those things. Right? Yes, Lucy, trust your realtors. All right. I mean, talk to realtors. So talk to these people and make sure they are giving you information that makes you make a bias, that makes you make an unbiased decision. So let me bust the bubble of realtors tonight before I go. All right. Another thing you should be mindful of is most times realtors try to frame you. They try to frame you to come and buy their land. Make sure that you're making an objective decision. When they are giving you information, make sure you verify it. When somebody tells you the land status of this land is whatever, let them show you that document from Lagos State or from Oyo State that says that this land is actually free from government acquisition, right? And because with all of these things, you can avoid stories that touch, all right? Then don't make a buying decision without due diligence. Please, very important. Especially if you're buying for the first time. So sometimes if somebody has a track record, I have customers today who are always angry if I launch a new product and they're finding out on my status. Mr. Wole, I want come, I have some money laying around. So sometimes there are some people they've built a level of trust with you, they've built a level of investment trust with you that when you launch a product, they say, as long as it's this man, I'm going ahead. All right. Or as long as it's this company, I'm going ahead. And usually that's how great companies are built and people build a good investment portfolio. Real estate is not Ponzi. Please, anything that is looking like get rich quick, anything that is looking like bring 10 million, get 2K monthly, bring 10 million, get 1 million monthly, and they tell you it's real estate. It's not me, it's not Ponzi. Don't go into real estate thinking that because right now a lot of people put a lot of schemes, there are a lot of schematics in real estate. People say funding something. They want to give you bring 10 million, bring 100 million, and then you get 2 million monthly. They may be able to pay you for the next 3 months, but it's possible that the rest of your money you will have to sue them and their family members before you are able to collect it. Right? And usually that kind of money, law, right? Because you did not buy land. They did not give you any landed property. What they did is that they just gave you word of mouth, and they said that they gave you a contract by a contract probably by a lawyer that did not put his stamp. There are just a lot of things, all right? Or a contract you probably did not read the terms and conditions, all right? So usually people fall for a lot of real estate scams. And I hope that with tonight's training, you've been able to know what to look out for when you want to make real estate buying decision. Remember I said earlier that real estate is bigger than you and I. There are a lot. If we venture into the world of documentation alone, we're not going to live here in 5 hours because documentation is ambiguous, and then we begin to break it down, right? So there are a lot of documents that are very important in your real estate buying process. All right, we have the receipts, we have the contract of sale, we have the allocation letter, we have your deed of assignment, you have your registered survey, right? There's a registered survey and there's a provisional survey. As the name implies, one is registered with the government, the other one is just provisional, right? There are a lot of documents. But what if I tell you that C of O is not the highest level of documentation in real estate? All right, it's not, right? A gazette is higher than a C of O. So a lot of things that you need to make sure that you understand if you want to make a real estate buying decision. I think I'm almost done with my time. And then yeah, so in 7:30, I'll be giving you a sneak peek. I'll be saying that so at 7:30, there's no room for nothing less than extraordinary, right? People center culture. With a people-centered culture and a commitment to redefining real estate industry, we deliver transformative experience, build wealth, and guide you to make an informed decision. What I love to say most is that feel free to reach out to us on our social media platforms, and we are glad to handle your questions at zero cost. We're going to talk to you, we'll guide you. Sometimes you don't even need to buy a property, all right? We usually have good problems. We launch land and it's almost sold out, all right? So, but if you want to be part of those customers, talk to us. And like I said, please don't make an emotional decision when you are dealing with us or dealing with any real estate company. Make sure that you make an informed decision. And whenever you're putting your money, you're sure that you're putting your money in a place that is secure. Then you can reach out to us on our social media, 730 HQ. They say social media is the new CV. So our HQ is in the cloud. Is on Instagram. Across our social media platforms, 730 HQ. Then Wole Fapohunda is my name. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm on Instagram and on Twitter. You can reach out to me. I will always be available to talk to you on either of those platforms. And yeah, thank you. Then you can ask your questions and I'll answer. Oops, what a night.
Thank you so much, Wole. Do you know what I'll say? You know how they say that the more you know, the more you understand that you don't know. That's what this session has been for
Yeah,
me. And like you've shared so much, it's clear, I think, to all of us that there's so much to know about real estate. So here's my biggest
yeah.
takeaway from this entire session. When I'm ready to buy, Wole, I'll just call you. Okay? Because this English is much, I beg. And I encourage all of us as well, whether we're going to work with him or anybody else, do not be the uninformed,
Yeah,
unaware customer. Work with a
yeah,
professional, all right?
yeah,
Before you use your eye
yeah,
to see your eye,
yeah.
I beg. So like he said, we're going to take questions now. So if you have a question, please just put your hand up and we can get going. By the way, I love how passionate you are about your subject. It's obvious you love this stuff. You do
I
know
love
what
to
to
say
stop.
that I'm not just. I love to say that I'm not just in real estate. Real estate is in me.
Gonna be
I will sell real estate till I die. I will sell real
President.
estate till I die.
I love it. So do we take it that we have no questions? I'm very sure I saw some in the chat.
Please ask questions. Ask questions.
I know I saw some
Ask
questions in the chat, but I
questions.
left at some point. My internet went up at some
Oh,
point, so
okay.
I don't.
Let me try and look at it.
Okay,
Um,
please. Or feel free to unmute your mic.
um,
Okay, so Lawani Olaiton says, how long can one leave a landed property before flipping back to market?
All right. So, first thing, I think I would encourage people to ask questions, please. Because
Please.
usually topics like this, people say, I don't know, please ask your question. If I don't know the question, I'll tell you I don't know it. All right. But please go ahead and ask. All right. So for land banking, to what Lawani Lighton said, how long can you leave a landed property before flipping it back into the market? So it depends on the property and it depends on your investment objective. So let me give you an example. There's a package we do in my business where we sell real estate to people's children. So when your child is one, you buy real estate for your child at every birthday until your child is 18. And you give your child all the documents when the child is 18. So the first property you probably bought at 1 million when it was born, you can imagine the price it would be 18 years from then. All right. And that is our own way of telling you that you can set your children up for life by buying real estate from them from the earliest stage, as long as they have an international passport. All right. So now, that kind of investment is not an investment you quickly want to flip because it's for a different objective. Now, what makes people flip their real estate most times is if they need money urgently, right? I just bought a land from a guy. He bought the land 18 years ago, 114 acres, and he bought it for next to nothing. When I saw the documents, it was next to nothing. If I tell you how much this guy is selling it to me, it is crazy. And guess what? He's selling it because his family has a medical emergency. If not, he will not be selling that land. So he has held on to the land for 18 years. Guess what? He did not do anything on the land. The land just there. All right. At the time he bought it, I can't imagine how that place was. So usually people have different objectives for buying and they have different reasons for selling. But your own objective and your reason, we now see um you now see um how long you can hold it for. And it also depends on where the land is. You can buy a land in Lekki. So let me give you an example. Somebody gave me a JV offer in Lekki, 100 million. I think early this year, 100 million early this year. Few months ago, I went to that place. I didn't take the offer. Few months ago, I went to that place and I realized that someone took the offer, but the land has gone through two people's hands. So somebody bought it for 100 million, sold it to someone else for 150, then sold it to someone else for 180. So the person who is currently constructing on that land bought it for 180. So they bought that land, it has passed through three people, and then they've been able to sell at different prices. But you cannot compare that to a land that is in a remote area or a land that is in your village. So, like I said, it also depends on what your metrics are. And you also cannot overprice a land. You cannot have a land somewhere inside bush and say you want to sell it for 10 million because you bought it for 1 million last year. All right. So it's not magic that you just say, I bought it for this, I bought it for that. You need to be able to see what the market value is at that time. All right. But if you want to set goals for yourself, I think you can have a 2 years plan. Plan 2 years, 3 years. So you buy land now and you give yourself 2 years to flip. Guess what? When it's 2 years, you will most likely not want to flip. I have a personal vision to own real estate in every state in Nigeria. Some states in the north are currently giving me issues because once they see my name, they know you're not from here. All right. And they're very traditional about their land. But guess what? Somehow, I still go to a real estate company, I still buy a plot or two. All right. But my goal for that land, maybe when I'm above 50, I want to be able to buy the latest cars of that time. And my strategy is to just keep buying land now that I'm still young. All right. And with every month, every year that passes, my quest for those kind of properties increase. All right. Lands, houses. So it depends on what your objective is. Sometimes you buy land and say the next 2 years I want to sell it. In 2 years' time, your objectives have changed. Let's say when you bought the land, you were not planning to jackpot, but now you're planning to jackpot and you need a land document to be able to get your Canadian visa. So you don't want to sell that land anymore. Do you get? So objectives change over time. But one thing I always strongly recommend to people who want to do land banking is that buy it and just leave it there and the next one, onto the next one. Until you have a really, really compelling reason to like go back to your property and say, all right, guys, let me value this property. How much is the market value right now? I want to sell it. In fact, if you are my client and you buy land from me for let's say 5 million 2 years ago, and the land is currently 15 million, and you want to sell, I'm I'm always worried, you know. I would interrogate you. Why? Sometimes I don't mind. I will borrow you the money. Don't sell this land. Borrow you the money. Go and do what you want to do. In a few months' time, you may be able to return the money, but don't sell that land because it will pay you. In the next 1 year, you will look at. Somebody just sent me a private message. In the next 1 year, you look at that land and you'll be like, you will pass that place and say, and I own land here, I sold it. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine, he said his dad bought a few lands in Lekki at some point. But at that time, the only place that was bubbling was Chevron and Ikeja. So from Ikeja, people just, the only place they come to on the island, apart from the island market, Idumota and the likes, is Chevron. So when they are going to Chevron, they just see a lot of places that are coming up, you know, and all of that. And then one time the man just sold the lands, you know, and now that same area, Agungi, people are buying land for 200 million. You'll be shocked. There's this viral video of Pastor Iren that goes around. He said they wanted to buy a property for 4 billion. And when the seller rather gave them the document he used to buy, he bought the land for 250K. Ah, real estate. He bought the land for 250K. Now, 250K in 1995 was also a lot of money. Trust me. Was also a lot of money. Was also a lot of money. I mean, trust me, by every metric, right? But you can't compare 4 billion of today to 250K of that time. Do you get? So when you are doing land banking, have an objective in mind and make sure that your recommendation of land you buy goes back to your objective. All right, depending on your criteria and your alternatives, if you know what I mean. So
That's even criteria and alternatives. God I beg.
so yes, doing land banking, when you flip, when you resell, it's very dependent on what your objective is. And I assure you that if you've bought a good land in a good location and you have a genuine reason, you'll be able to sell. But you also they can't guarantee how much you will make if you are selling just a year apart than if you are selling 10 years apart. All right. So yeah.
All right. Hope that answers your question, Lawani Lighton. So since we have no other questions from the audience, I have questions. So the first
Please go
one, I've
ahead.
personally always been fairly curious around pricing of real estate. And you sort of alluded to
Okay.
that at some point in your presentation,
Okay.
that like there's some properties that are incredibly overpriced. And so I've also wondered
Yeah.
about that in terms of, is there any regulation in the real estate industry? Because it seems to me as though people just pull prices out of the greed of their hearts, as it were. So how
Yeah.
do we also protect the common man who's looking to get into the market? Is there any
All
government
right.
regulation, essentially?
All right. Yes.
Yeah.
So honestly, there is no overall regulation to pricing, but there are institutions that check these things. For example, if you buy a land that has a C of O, you will need to get a governor's consent. So let's say you want to get a governor's consent for a land in Lekki, and you want to get a governor's consent for a land in Ekpe, and you take it to Alausa, and they are seeing how much you bought these lands, it will raise questions. All right. It will raise a lot of questions going back to whoever sold the land to you, what taxes have they paid, whatever. So they will have to eventually justify what they used in coming to that price. But let me tell you what we developers do. If I've bought a land for 1 naira, right, what I do is I clear the land, is neat. I map it out. I map out the roads and all of that. I submit the layout to town planning. When I get an approval, I fence the land. I put a gatehouse. I make it resident ready. That when you come and see it, you can already look at your plot and say, okay, if I build here, this is the road. This is where my gate will be. So you can already see it's different from the raw land. So if I'm pricing it as 5 naira, even though I bought it at 1 naira, there are a lot of costs that have gone into me bringing that raw land into the face that it is, right? And some of those factors can justify that price. However, there are also different reasons why land prices are skyrocketed. Sometimes some people already have brand equity, and we are not going to pretend as if that is not a real thing. All right. So there's a company in Ekpe right now that sells an estate. In that axis, lands are sold for 15, 20 million. They are selling a plot of land for 180 million. with their full chest. But guess what? They have brand equity. And what do? When you buy land with them, they give you a passport. You have an internet, you have a passport as being a resident. They have a wait list of buyers. Who are their target markets? Golf players, polo club members. So these are people who want to belong to a community. So they're like, if people are buying here, I want to buy here. And then, so when you buy, you get a starter pack. There's a passport as if you're a resident that is stamped, and all of those marketing strategies. So somehow, some of those things justify the prices. Look at some of the real estate we have in Lagos. Eco Atlantic, for example. Eco Atlantic is, I wanted to use the F word, is expensive. Jesus. Eco Atlantic is when you look at a piece of real estate and you see one day God, me too. It's expensive. All right. But if you look at some of the factors around it, it justifies the price. That place is a reclaimed land. When I say reclaimed, it's a water that was filled up. you know. So exactly. So now this is now where professionals come in. Land surveyors are the ones that can. I mean, sometimes when I want to sell to people, I tell you, go and bring everything in your arsenal. Your land surveyor, your land valuer, let them come and see my project. Let them see the price. They can. Some of them will even say for this price, land is cheap. Oh, you get because they can see that whatever we have put there justifies the price that is being sold. And this also does not take out the fact that some people who don't have brand equity, they look at people who have brand equity and they price their product the same way. That's why sometimes they don't sell, they enter debt, they have problem, they are unable to deliver the same value, and the like. So, and that is also why you want to do business with people, you recognize your vendors, you weigh them really, you know, and because it is important. It's not buying. You are not buying akara and beans. You are not buying a car. If you buy a car, you can drive the car away from the dealer's place. But if you buy a land, if you are giving me money for a land, Lisa, your land and your money are with me. Because you can't put the land inside your pocket and take it away. So it's a very sensitive investment, it's a very sensitive topic, and it should be taken seriously. So when you want to do that and you want to make sure that your money is going in the right direction, you want to do every due diligence that you must. Sure you get. So I
So
feel
what's
that
no,
you
please
want to say
carry on.
something.
Please carry on.
So I wanted to say, so when it comes to pricing, you want to look at the price of the project, you want to look at the estate, I mean the developer. Sometimes it just justifies it. And sometimes people even consider high valued real estate as more secure, you know. They value them as more secure,
Mm.
And there are different metrics to which people look at. I mean, I was talking to a man one time, I was an employee at the time, and I wanted to sell a house of 200 million to him. I had a target of about 600 million on my back. And this man told me, he said, Wally, I have 12 billion right now, but I need 15 billion before Friday. So he's looking for 3 billion. Me, I'm looking for 200 million from him. In my mind, I'm like, sir, just take 200 million out of that your
That's
12 million.
what.
Just take small. So I said that to say that where we are sitting at, where we're looking at is different at different times.
Exactly.
And what somebody else sees as an investment, somebody else sees as a waste of money.
Mm.
So yeah.
So what
But
I'm hearing is
then
cut your
what
coat according to your cloth.
exactly cut your coat according to the fabric you have,
Come
start from
on.
somewhere, start from somewhere and building. And most importantly, thank you for saying that. Most importantly, what I think that real estate investment does, especially to young people, is that it helps you build an investment habit. It helps you build an investment habit. There's a reason why when you go to school, you do your project at the final year. Because from first year, second year, third year, fourth year, you've built a reading and a research habit
Mm.
on assignments and exams. So when you're doing your project, it's not as strenuous as if you did your project in the first year because you are used to exams and that circle, right? So when you're doing investment, I always tell people that if you cannot, if you're earning so much, I can't take 1 million to buy land. So people say, no worry, I go buy a house. You really will not buy a house when you're supposed to buy a house because you don't have that habit. Right. So
Mm.
investment is also a habit. When people buy land, you realize that when you're done paying for one, they want to buy another one. So they are building that habit. I have a client who that's his major motivation. His dad didn't give him any land. And he said, well, my father was rich. There were people that were telling my father to buy land. But sometimes when the realtor leaves their house, the father and the mother will talk about it. Do you think maybe they will buy the latest Benz at the time or the latest Peugeot, you know? But right now, he's seeing the importance of making sure that I invest in real estate. And beyond that, it builds a habit. I have customers who fine example. There's this guy I remember. I was an undergraduate when I started selling real estate, and I remember this guy was my
Mm.
classmate, and he wanted to buy land. He was one of my first customers at the time. I had to follow him to the bank. Right, the land was about 1 million, and his first deposit was 200K. We took bike, and we went to Access Bank in Tanke Junction in Ilorin. If you schooled in Ilorin, he deposited his first money, and he was like, Saoli, if no be saying you, I no go buy. Long story short, it's been 7 years now. And that guy, his portfolio that I'm handling is over 1 billion. He has bought houses in Nigeria. He has bought houses that are very people furnished. There are some houses that sometimes I will just pass. Let me say this house, give this guy. Do you get? So he has built a habit of investment. I've seen him buy from 1 million property to 10 million to 20 million to 50 million. So you've built a habit. You realize that what you will probably spend on a gadget, 4 million on a gadget before, your money is now having direction. And when you give a lot of attention to investment, somebody you dash 10K, you will give the person 2K because you know you're paying for one property or there's an investment you're supposed to do. And that is why you're
Mm.
supposed to have investment objectives so that you're not just throwing your money away. And finally, sorry, I've said finally twice, go and download your bank statement this year. You realize that 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, 400 million, 500 million has passed through your account this year and you did not own any property. Trust me, most of that money you give it out. It's not that you bought something and got value for it. If you channel that money inside real estate, you'll be shocked. Gold, you'll be shocked that when you download your bank statement, you spent a lot of money, really. You know. So,
We have another
oops.
question. We have another question from David O. He says, what's your take on crowd-funded real estate investment projects? Time is really fast spent, so well,
Oops.
I
All
know
right. So,
you're very
oh
elaborate.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
be I'll be brief.
If you can.
Crowd-funded real estate investment project. I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but if what you mean is that people come together to own a particular property or to own a particular project, that's also similar to what REIT does, real estate investment trust. All right. I would recommend that you go through a certified organization that does that in a structured way. However, with us, for example, 2 or 3 friends can come together and say they want to own a land, right? It's called co-ownership. So we document the property in all of you's name. When you want to sell it, all of you must sign off. Yeah. So um so everybody must sign off before you sell it. So it's co-ownership. Two of you or multiple of your friends can come together, put funds together to buy a project. But then crowdfunded real estate investment project. I'm not sure what you mean exactly. Maybe taking people's money and putting it in real estate. No, don't do it too. Please. So if you want to take other people's money and put it in real estate in your own name, not in their name, please, I usually just to beg you. Co-ownership, exactly. Yes. So co-ownership is a brilliant idea, if well managed, because it's just like partnership. It's just like any other thing. Usually, people come together to do something because they feel an adrenaline. They feel like this guy is my guy, and Lisa is my babe. We will marry next year, and then something happens along the line, and you guys already have a property that ties you together. You know, and to punish the other person, one person will say, "I'm not going to sign." And the person cannot really get that property. So usually you want to think about it very well. Usually people recommend co-ownership for husband and wife. People and you're not going to write Mr. and Mrs. Owolabi. No, you will write Mr. Femi Owolabi and Mrs. Ruth Owolabi. Their names must be there. It's not going to be Mr. and Mrs. There's nobody that is Mr. and Mrs. Owolabi. You get so co-ownership is a brilliant idea. I always recommend. We have a few people who have done co-ownership with us. I always recommend that. Oh, in fact, there was something we did one time, real estate ajo, where people can buy real estate as if they are paying for a job, but that's like a land banking option where multiple people can come together, pay for a longer period of time, of course, with an interest rate because of the time value of money. So, like, yeah, co-ownership is a brilliant idea if you have a structured way to go about it and you have trusted people to do it with.
Fantastic. Thank you. In your company, I
You're
just want to
welcome.
ask, final question. Do you have anything around like installmental payment options for land ownership?
Of course,
Okay, so what price?
That's one
What's
of
like a
this.
minimum sorry, what's like a minimum price for anyone here who's thinking, I don't have the money for this, this is too much. What's like a minimum amount? Because people might
Okay.
have enough and not even know, right?
Oh, okay. So right now, honestly, I don't have the prices on top of my head.
Okay.
But
Okay.
right now, we are currently running a promo. We are currently running a promo. Let me check. Sorry, 1 minute.
Yeah, it's
So
okay.
we're currently running a promo because of the festive season. And then we have projects basically, our Lagos projects are sold out, God help us. And we have projects in Lagos, we have projects in Ibadan. Sorry, we have projects in Abeokuta and we have projects in Ibadan. Our Uyo project, we are going to be releasing into the market in January, right? Then we have a discounted price of 300 square meter, which is like an half plot of 750,000 naira with an initial deposit of about 100K, right? Remember, if 100K is your salary, don't come and use it to buy land. All right. Then we have 450 square meters of 1,080,000 naira. We have, okay, somebody's typing in. Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. So, yes. So we have 600 square meters, 1.440. That's like a full plot. And with an initial deposit of about 250, if I'm not wrong. Then we have Oba Residence 2. We have Oba Residence 1 in Lagos, Ekpe. We have Oba Residence 2 in Ibadan. It's a C of O project. Without the C of O, I'll give you the C of O number. You can chat it yourself before you come and buy. Then we have the 300 square meters for 840, 450 square meters for 1.2. Then with payment plans that are flexible. We have 3 months payment plan without interest, and we have 6 months payment plan with interest. So this interest is because of the time value of money. 1 million naira today is no longer 1 million in 6 months. Do you get?
Yeah.
So usually, so send us a DM. Send us a DM on our social media page. Send me a DM. I would like to talk to you. And then we can start from there. So we can always start from somewhere. And also usually, like I said, don't come and use money that you're supposed to send mom see chicken to come and buy real estate. All right. But you have some spare cash, you know that if you keep this spare cash, you're gonna use it to 30 December when you're not supposed to. Bring them our way. Own some land, you can hold us by the neck. And my name is everywhere, my pictures are everywhere. I can't run anywhere. All
I
right.
love that.
So
Love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Wole. This has genuinely
pleasure's
been so
mine. By the way,
insightful.
by the way, I'm not doctor in this class. I'm only doctor in the real estate industry. In class, and my name is Wole Fapohunda. Thank you.
President. Thank you so much. So genuinely, I learned a lot, and I think we all learned a lot as well. But I want to say to everyone on this meeting, let this not be just one other webinar that we attend and nothing changes. We're literally
Mm,
at the end of a
mm,
year, another year is coming. And as they say, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you're in a
mm.
place where you're ready to do things differently, I genuinely encourage you to reach out to 730, reach out to Wole. He's mentioned figures that I think for most of us are quite attainable. If we're talking about minimum deposits of 100,000, 250,000. Like, don't use the money to 30 December. Don't use it to buy another week. Sister, you don't need another week. Buy land. Thank you. Okay, and for our brothers as well, you don't need the latest iPhone. Buy land. All right, this is transgenerational wealth we're talking about. Honestly, personally, I'm overwhelmed. This has been fantastic. Wale, thank you so much.
And thank you so much for hosting me, Lisa.
Like,
Thank you. You
I've
speak
had the
amazingly
best
well.
time. You too. You too. You're obviously so passionate about your subject, and it's always so beautiful to listen to someone who's giving subject matter expert. I love it. I absolutely
Pleasure's
love
mine.
it. Thank you so much for your
Pleasure's
time.
mine.
And thank you to everyone who has made the time to be here. This has been day 4 of Game Plan 2025. We have day 5 coming up tomorrow. We're going to be listening to the amazing Dr. Silk, and he's going to be talking to us
Yeah.
about strategies to succeed and how to communicate. Listen, it doesn't matter what you know if you don't know how to communicate what you know. Listen to Wole now. He knows all these things about real estate, but look at how he has communicated his value. So in your business, in your career, can you speak for success? Because we're learning those things tomorrow. Be here or be
Yeah.
square, as they say. All
Yeah.
right, I'm
Yeah.
excited. I hope you're excited. Thank you, everyone, for being
Thank you
here. Thank you
so
to
much,
our
everyone.
organizers. Thank you, Wole. Thank you, everyone. This has been fantastic. We'll
Pleasure's
close out
mine.
now. We'll close out now, and we'll see you here again tomorrow, 5:30. Enjoy the
All
rest
right,
of your
guys. See you
day,
tomorrow.
everyone. Document your insights and reach out to Wole Fapohunda on Instagram. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Good
everyone.
night.
Yeah, good night.